sector over the next week. Welcome back. Well, it's been a lively discussion today. There were a couple of points of interest to me. Brian, Goldman Sachs, we didn't get round to this in the body of the previous discussion, but their executives have been appearing before the Senate committee overnight, and I understand it was a fairly torrid session. What did you see? What did you make of it?
Yeah, they've been given a grilling, and to give them due, the senators have really done their work, but of course it belies the comment when Goldman Sachs had an IPO about 10 years, they say that clients come first. Well, it's fairly obvious from the Senate hearing that clients don't come first. Right. Goldman Sachs comes first, and the executive remuneration is way ahead of clients.
And the weird thing is that for us as laymen to get our heads around is that they were making huge amounts of money out of the collapse of the housing sector.
That's right. They were talking about last night about $1 billion a month were being made by shorting some of these securities. $1 billion US. We talk about the farmers getting extra money in New Zealand, but the kind of money that was made in Wall Street by going short in some of these securities way in excess of that. So it really is, the only word you can think of is greed.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, no doubt there's more to come, and no doubt we'll hear a bit more from Lloyd. Is it Lloyd Blankfein, who's the chief executive? Now, he's due to talk to the senators yet.
I think so, yeah.
I guess he'll get a bit of a grilling too.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, well, it's good to hear that for once senators are well briefed on something.
Yeah, well, that's a big difference. They really know the issue, and they have very good questions, and that makes it very interesting television watching.
Indeed, it does, yeah. Now, James, just getting back to our earlier discussions about the currency, I've noticed just over the last few days that our dollar has gone to about 54 euro. It's back a wee bit this morning, I think at 53.5 or thereabouts. And it's been strengthening against the US and the Aussie, but again, came back a tiny bit this morning. Is it on a rebound if you look at it over a reasonable period of time? And what's that mean for exporters?
Well, I guess, yeah, we have been increasing, and it's probably been driven a little bit out of the US and a bit of a positive sentiment out in markets over the last week, especially towards the end of last week. So that's why the dollar has been creeping up. But of course, overnight, there's the sort of bit of a blown up in everybody's face with Greece. Their credit rating has been dropped down to junk bond status, basically, and Portugal also, they've seen their credit rating drop, and that's really freaked out markets out a little bit. So that's why we've seen the dollar edged up to 4-month highs yesterday, and all of a sudden it's fallen overnight, and it's sort of under 71.5 against the US, and the euro's has been hammered a little bit, and generally currencies have all come back because investors just really want to get out of what they call riskier assets, and they want to go back to the staid and true, and that's the US dollar.
But things aren't going to get any better overnight, are they, in Europe, particularly those pigs countries that I referred to earlier? We're going to stay fairly strong against the euro for a while, aren't we? That'd be pretty good for particularly our meat exporters.
Well, it'll have a negative impact against a lot of our exports, and through to the UK and through to Europe. We're going to stay strong. We will stay strong, and I guess against the pound also. Then it's going to impact on our sheep exports, because we are going to stay very strong, probably right through, plus over 40p against the pound, for the next 12 months even, and that's going to impact on those returns and have an impact on the agricultural sector, because we are actually seeing strong international prices. Things are looking pretty good, and that's those strong prices are being overshadowed by the strength of our currency, and that's not going to change anytime soon, as you say.
So we're lucky, I guess, in that meat prices in particular are so healthy at the moment.
That's right. That's right. Supply is down, demand is relatively strong in most of our markets, and if we didn't have those very, very strong prices, then the situation would be worse than what it is right now.
Well, Brian, what's in store over the next week, do you think? Any predictions from you? Any big announcements in the wind that we should be looking forward to?
No, the main thing I look at the moment, we're in the run-up to the budget, and you generally start getting leaks at around this period. Yes. Ministers start dropping hints about what's going to be, because they don't want the budget, everything to be in it on that particular day. They want to give out some good news and bad news beforehand. So I'm expecting a lot of leaks or a lot of indications what's going to be in the budget over the next few weeks. And the budget is important because it is a measure of how much the government is going to collect and spend end, and in the end, that's going to have an impact on our credit rating and probably on our interest rate. So the budget is a key event every year, and we're now in the lead up to the budget, so that's the time for leaks.
Yeah. And I think some bank results later this week?
Yeah, we got banks. We got Westpac and ANZ Bank. We also got the Reserve Bank on Thursday releasing its latest monthly credit figures, which is always of interest to see where the lending is going. Is it going to the farming sector? Is there contraction lending to the farming sector? So yeah, the bank results, but we expect the bank results to be pretty good. The Australian banks are the soundest banks in the world, and of course our banks here are fully owned subsidiary of the Australian banks.
Yeah,
so we're in a good position from the banking point of view. And you, James, anything from your side?
Well, I guess of course the official cash rate announcement tomorrow, so that's going to be the biggest news over the next little while. While we're not expecting to see any change from the Reserve Bank, then I guess it's going to come round to what their statement entails, and economists and market investors really take a keen interest into what comes out of that statement as to when they're going to increase, because that really has an impact on our interest rates down the track and other influences on the economy and of course the currency. So that statement is going to be important. We're not picking that the OCR will change until July.
Thanks for that. Well, that's all we've got time for today. Thanks to my guests, rural economist James Shortall from ASB and financial commentator Brian Gaynor of Milford Asset Management. We'd love to hear your feedback, so please go to our new website and have a look at my blog, www.country99tv.co.nz. Thanks to you for watching. We'll see you next week.